I used to be so shy and anxious when it came to talking to women that I found attractive in public that I would literally shake and sweat profusely. And I went from that point in my life in my early 20s where women didn't take me seriously. I could never spark attraction with the girls that I really wanted to date, to now being with my dream girl and having a lot of experience from going on hundreds of dates, meeting tons of women, and now teaching guys the exact same process of how to go from a total beginner with no social skills, not being able to talk to women, not being confident, to having confidence, being able to approach any woman that you want anytime, any day. And the main thing I've learned throughout this whole process is that approach anxiety, which is what most of you guys struggle with, is totally fake. And in this video, I'm going to show you 5 different strategies and mindsets for getting rid of approach anxiety forever, or at least reframing it so that it doesn't affect your actions. Because at the end of the day, you're never going to not feel anxious approaching an attractive woman. You're never going to not feel some type of nerves because, dude, she's attractive and you don't want to fuck it up. And that is normal. But what you need to understand is that every time you see an attractive girl and you feel those emotions, it does not have to affect how you actually act. And you can act in spite of those emotions and still come off confident if you just follow these 5 steps and mindsets. The first thing that I learned in this whole journey of overcoming my own approach anxiety is that anxiety is basically the same emotion as excitement. So when you see an attractive girl, instead of thinking, oh man, I'm freezing up, I'm so anxious, you're actually freezing up because you're so excited about the possibility of approaching that girl and talking to that girl. You think that something might happen from this, and so you're excited about it. And so instead of thinking about, oh, I'm so anxious, I feel low, I feel small, I feel insignificant, like I can't do this, you can start thinking about this as, I'm so excited to go talk to this girl, because when I talk to this girl, anything could fucking happen. Actually, anything. She could be the most beautiful girl in the world, and if you're a busted looking dude, she could still find something that you did charming, and she might still go on a date with you. That is actually true. I've gone on dates with very attractive women before when I felt very small, and honestly, I didn't have any good game. This is when I was like 20, 21. I didn't really have much opportunity or experiences. I didn't have experience with women, so I didn't know what I was doing. And I actually still got dates with very attractive women. Now, they didn't go anywhere because I didn't know how to run a date, but this is how you get experience so that when you do eventually meet that dream girl for you that you want to make into your wife, you can run a really good fucking first date because you're not freaking out the whole time and you know how to deal with your nerves. So number 1 is that approach anxiety is not real. It's just approach excitement. And you need to start by reframing that. The second mindset is what I call the patronizing stranger mindset. And a lot of you guys have some limiting beliefs or some negative self-talk that comes up when you see an attractive girl. Oh, you're probably not tall enough. She probably doesn't like you. She probably doesn't like brown guys. She probably doesn't like this type of guy. She probably doesn't like short guys. She probably doesn't like me because I'm a little too chubby. I don't have abs yet. I'm too pale. I don't have hair. Like all these things that come up in your head. Now, if you're anything like me, then you have a very competitive side of you. There's a part of you that has some spite, has a chip on his shoulder, something to prove. And so instead of thinking about these negative thoughts as coming from you, I want you to imagine them coming from some random fucking dude on the street that comes up to you and just starts berating you for all the reasons why you shouldn't approach that girl. Well, you probably shouldn't approach her, bro. She probably wouldn't even like you. She probably wouldn't even think you're that cool. You're probably not funny enough. You're probably not interesting enough. You probably don't make enough money. You're probably too short. You're probably too fat. You're not in good enough shape. If it were me, and this really helped me a lot when I was starting out, I would think about that guy coming up to me and immediately I'd be like, no, fuck you. I'm going to show you that I'm going to approach this girl. I don't give a fuck. Maybe she rejects me. That's fine. I'm just going to show this fucking guy that I can do this because I know I can. And when you have this mindset of fuck this guy, fuck this other dude, because really all those thoughts, they're coming from external places that you've been taught your entire life. They're not actually coming from you. And so when you can realize that all these thoughts are coming from some random stranger, or even better, maybe someone in your life that has talked down on you, an old friend that was, really hurt your confidence, or, your parents or a relative, or someone in your life, like a coach that has shit talked you your entire life and didn't believe in you, and you proved them wrong, or you wanted to prove them wrong. This is now your opportunity to prove them wrong and approach that fucking girl because you know you can. And so I channel that kind of dark competitive side of myself when I get into these moments of someone telling me, and that someone being myself and my own self-talk, telling me I can't approach. And if you can reframe that, that's a very powerful reframe as well. It's a very powerful strategy for overcoming approach anxiety, because a lot of times the feeling of spite and getting back at someone, proving someone wrong, is actually a lot more powerful than whatever small emotions of like, I'm not feeling good enough. I'm feeling very, very little. and weak, and I'm not powerful. I'm like this little fucking chode loser, right? Those negative emotions, those are strong, but they're not as strong as fuck you, I'm gonna do it anyway. You like olive? Subscribe to the channel. The third thing you have to understand about approach anxiety is that approach anxiety, a lot of the anxiety comes from the unknown, not knowing what's going to happen. And when you realize that, you can realize that I can actually make this approach anxiety so much better by just making it happen, by actually going and getting rejected, by actually going up and trying to talk to this attractive girl, and then realizing, looking down at my hands, I'm still alive. I'm still here. I'm really anxious. Let's say, for example, I was anxious to make this video because I didn't want to make this video. I've been putting it off. I just got back from vacation. I didn't want to make the video. But I look down at my hands now that I've started. I'm still here. I'm still here. And I feel like I have an obligation to you guys to make good content. And it's the same way that you have an obligation to yourself to approach that girl and face your fears. And so when you realize that the anxiety comes from something just like really vague, it's all the vague bullshit. The anxiety doesn't come from actually bad things happening to you. You've had your feelings hurt before. You've felt lonely before. You felt like you didn't like where your life was at before. So what's the big deal? And ultimately that big deal is some vague thing that doesn't even have a definition. You couldn't even define what you're actually worried about happening. And the reason and the way that you can get to the bottom of this is by asking yourself, okay, and after the excuse. So yeah, I am afraid. I'm afraid she's going to reject me. Okay, and? Well, and if she rejects me, then I feel bad about myself. Okay, and? Well, then if I feel bad about myself, then I won't be able to talk to girls for the rest of my life. Okay, and? Well, I guess I'll still be alive, and you very quickly run out of reasons why it fucking matters. We're going to die. You fast forward 100 years, none of us will be here. Maybe 200. I don't know how good science is going to get. But we're not going to be here eventually. So at the end of the day, all the vague anxiety that you're worried about happening, there's like some vague consequence that you think might happen, but none of it's real. Because even if you did approach this girl and you accidentally came off really creepy and she made a video about you and plastered you all over the internet, guess what? You'd still be alive. Even if you lost your fucking job. Like, I know that this sounds extreme, but like even if you did lose your job, you'd be okay. Even if you were, known everywhere for being a creep in the gym, you'd still be fine. And I would argue that having that experience, you'd grow a lot from it. So start realizing that all of the anxiety lives in vague terms. It's fairy dust. It's la la land. It's or whatever the fuck from the Wolf of Wall Street, Matthew McConaughey, when he's like, oh, it's fairy dust. It's all fugazi. That's what the anxiety is. It's not real. You have to realize that. Because once you start taking action, the anxiety, you'll have some fears, but you'll realize that they're fears that you can handle. And that's where real confidence comes from. It comes from knowing that no matter what happens, I'm going to be okay. And that ultimately is the most grounded confidence you can possibly have, which kind of sick that girls find that very attractive. But then also you're just going to feel better about yourself and life is going to go a lot better. It's going to go your way a lot more. Now, building off the back of that, confidence, this is point number 4, actually comes from taking action. Confidence does not come before taking action. There's going to be no amount of theory, and I think you know this watching this video, but there's no amount of theory that is going to help you overcome your fears. This is one of the things that I have to help my clients overcome inside my one-on-one coaching program. The main thing is getting them to a point where they can take action to build confidence. And then if that action stops, the confidence goes away a little bit, but at least they know how to get it back. And when you can have a reliable process for taking consistent actions and starting with the smallest level of action, even if it's just saying hello to strangers on the street, telling them to have a good day, giving them compliments, telling a girl you think that she's cute, and then walking away. You don't even have to start a conversation. When you can start taking action, you will start building confidence because you'll have experiences. You don't even need to get wins. You don't even need to go on dates to build confidence. And if you're the type of guy that feels like, oh, well, I would definitely have to go on dates to feel confident, well, I would reevaluate how you feel about confidence, because probably a lot of other parts of your life, you're looking for external validation from other people to feel confident when you don't actually need that. This is kind of a bonus point, but no one deserves anything. No one deserves to feel confident. No one deserves to not feel confident. It's just something you have or you don't. And a lot of that comes from your choice of how you feel about yourself. And so if you have trouble feeling confident, you need to understand that there is no amount of work, no amount of results, no amount of money, physique, whatever, that will give you true grounded confidence like a guy that can accept himself. And so if you guys want a good resource for that, Models by Mark Manson is a really fucking good book. He talks about vulnerability, and it's actually kind of funny. I made my whole coaching program before I even read the book, and I realized that a lot of the things I talk about with confidence actually are directly from that book that I learned from like mentors and other places. So if you want to learn more about accepting yourself and building up real confidence, Models by Mark Manson is a very good book. It's not as practical as like getting a course or getting coaching, but it is a very good book for understanding the mindset behind what makes a guy really confident. The fifth thing you have to understand about approach anxiety and it not being real is that approach anxiety and fear is actually just a growth signal. It's a sign that you can grow from something. So every time I feel anxious about something, it means that there's change on the horizon. Remember, anxiety comes from fear of the unknown, not knowing what's going to happen. And if you don't like where you're at right now in terms of women, the amount of dates you're going on, the types of women you're dating, then you by definition want things to change. So every time you feel fear, you feel like something's going to change, it will feel uncomfortable and it will feel scary, but that is actually a sign that growth is on the other side of that. And that's one of the hardest things to understand. It's one of the hardest things to really internalize. The best way I've found to internalize this is to really try to get in touch with how you feel when you do feel anxious. When you do feel anxious or you feel like nervous about doing something, that is almost always a sign that you should do that thing. And some things are not a big deal. Like I felt scared going cliff jumping a couple weeks ago. Never done it before. I was a little scared. It's like a 20-foot cliff. I was pretty fucking scared to do it. And I did it anyway because I felt like it was something that would make me feel better about myself. Like, fuck yeah, I did it. And it's cool, but not doing that wouldn't have made me a much more confident person, right? But it's these little wins along the way of just stacking things that you normally wouldn't do, that you went out of your way to push yourself and do things that you're scared of that cause growth. So every time you feel scared, there is growth on the other side. And if you remember that, you keep watching the channel, you keep going out and taking action, your life's totally going to change, man. Like, I know it feels really hard to struggle with approach anxiety, struggle with going to the mall. Like I would do this. I would go to the mall for 3 hours, approach 0 girls and feel like shit about myself. But it's all part of the journey. That fear, discomfort, anxiety, it is all part of making an actual change. So drop a comment down below. What do you want to see from me in the future in terms of questions you have, content you want me to make? If you want to apply for coaching, I have brand new coaching offers going into September this year. So you can fill out my application, so you can fill out my application in the description or the pinned comment and see which offer resonates with you the most and fits your budget and fits everything for you. There's stuff for guys all over the map. There's stuff for guys all over the map, whether it's my free content or it's my coaching community or my high-end coaching or even in-person coaching if you are into that and you want to come out to Nashville and get coached by me in person. All right. I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.